Strange brain image heightens mystery of health attack in Cuba. July 27, 2019. Brain attacks in Cuba remain a mystery. Strange brain image heightens mystery of health attack in Cuba. Photo taken by the U.S. Embassy in Havana on September 29, 2017, after the United States announced the withdrawal of more than half of its personnel in response to mysterious health attacks against its diplomatic staff. Adalberto Roque/AFP/Getty Images. U.S. diplomats who have had bizarre sensory episodes and developed a range of neurological symptoms while serving in Cuba have slight differences in brain structure and connectivity compared to healthy controls, according to an advanced brain imaging analysis published in JAMA. The imaging adds a new clue to the mysterious episodes, which U.S. officials have dubbed health attacks. From the outset, the phenomenon evoked the idea of an international operation involving clandestine weapons that eluded all scientific explanation and devised numerous conspiracy theories. Beginning in late 2016, U.S. diplomats in Havana began reporting intriguing episodes of annoying sounds, vibrations and pressures before they fell ill with a series of symptoms. They had dizziness, nausea, headaches, balance problems, ringing in the ears, nosebleeds, difficulty concentrating and remembering words, hearing loss and speech problems. Most embassy staff were called back to the U.S., while various theories about the phenomenon circulated. Theories range from the existence of a dubious sonic weapon to mass psychogenic disease to infectious agents, exposure to chemicals, defective surveillance equipment, and a mix of stress and crickets. But no clear explanation for the diplomats' experiences or symptoms was found. And meanwhile, diplomats in China began to report similar episodes and symptoms and were evacuated. Earlier last year, a team of University of Pennsylvania medical specialists published a preliminary clinical evaluation of 21 affected individuals. They conducted extensive assessments of the subjects and concluded that, in general, they appeared to have suffered damage to widespread brain networks without an associated history of head trauma. The report reinforced concern about strange cases, but also generated criticism. Some neurologists said the team made their criteria for some of the neurological problems too broad, to find deficiencies when perhaps there were none. The team responded by telling reporters that they had more data than the U.S. government allowed them to include in the initial report, and that the criteria were more subtle. Instead of using standard limits, they used what was considered normal for each of the patients. The new brain imaging analysis, published by the same Penn team, is unlikely to resolve any disputes. In fact, this only raises new questions. Blurred image. For the new analysis, the team used 3 types of imaging techniques to obtain detailed information on the brains of 40 affected individuals in Cuba. The first technique was standard 3D fluid attenuated inversion recovery FLAIR that allowed the team to calculate the volume of white and gray matter in each patient's brain. The second was diffusion tensor imaging DTI, which uses the diffusion of water molecules in brain tissue to collect information about tissue integrity and microstructures. The last was the resting functional magnetic resonance imaging fMRI, which uses changes in blood flow in the brain while a person is not performing any specific task to assess basal activity and functional connections, networks involved in things like hearing, visual perception and executive functions. The team then compared brain imaging findings in the 40 patients to 2 healthy control groups, a set of 21 healthy subjects that matched the 40 patients' education and professional status, as well as demographic information such as age and ethnicity, and a group of 27 healthy individuals who had a broader spectrum of education and skills. Overall, the researchers found that the 40 patients had, on average, slightly smaller volumes of total white matter in their brains compared to those in the healthy groups. White matter is a tissue made up of nerve fiber bundles, the axons, that connect neurons in different brain regions, forming functional circuits. Gray matter, on the other hand, is pinkish-gray tissue rich in neuronal cell bodies. In particular, the researchers found smaller volumes of white matter surrounding patient cerebellums, a structure in the lower back of the brain involved in motor control and balance. DTI results also found differences in tissue diffusion and microstructures in this region. Some of these differences seem to be linked to patient scores on sensory and clinical tests. The larger the differences, the worse the score. Finally, RSfMRI found reduced connectivity in patients' auditory and visuospatial networks compared to controls. But this finding did not correlate with the patient's clinical symptoms. Brain teaser. Overall, The researchers found a number of differences that they could not explain. The pattern of changes does not coincide with that observed in any other known brain injury or disorder. If the differences were real, it would seem like a totally unique set of brain changes. Still, though intriguing, the Penn team was cautious in their conclusions, writing that given the relatively weak correlations observed for some metrics and the lack of correlation with functional connectivity metrics, the clinical implications of neuroimaging differences remain uncertain. The researchers also noted that the study has significant limitations. It has only 40 affected adults, and the team had no information on the state of their brains prior to the reported episodes. They also could not determine how much exposure each individual had to the offensive phenomena. There have also been different amounts of time since each patient's exposure, offering several opportunities for recovery from possible brain damage. And of course, the various imaging techniques used in the analysis have their own limitations and error rates. In an accompanying editorial note, two high-level JAMA editors echo the author's uncertainty about whether the differences found are clinically relevant, but they recognize that the mystery remains, writing, "This unique data provides additional information and contributes to a growing evidence base that can help in understanding the neurological signs and symptoms experienced by this group of individuals."